Mame fa na se ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV de o se dem yopo.
Ebusia Mr. Haruna Iddrisu and Mr. Afenyo Markins CNE. Of course, vetting committee no nya adwumadia ye de show mu nsa se almost scrutinize the nominees na John Mahama Diaba no no na ekoso for the past days ni no na enra na ye da Mr. Haruna Iddrisu ye ni ten na ono so ba ya chese enye easy or the way his explanation level na they didn't know. I already told you, said John Dramani Mahama has really appointed the right people for the right work, because they all know, the experienced people are, they know what they are about, they know whatever they say, Biano, they know what they are saying. Aha, exactly. And you know, maybe so become the banter between Mr. Afenyo Markins and also Mr. Haruna or Honorable Haruna Iddrisu. Ebra omude CNE in terms of educational questions, education in seminar they know. And feel that of course of one is so easy to answer all those questions, and it was smooth. I have PENDREAM TV. You best subscribe to the channel. After I had you subscribe unya notification no kahwa na afedie eno ano no se content no betuma you be the first person who benya content no yenko kamehuni yenko ne yengotie the banter between Mr. Haruna Iddrisu and Mr. Afenyo Markins.
Relationship between industry employability hinges on the quality and training of young people with employable skills, which are largely technical, vocational. I'm aware that the Honorable Iddrisu and his colleagues tried a number of TVET institutions. In my review of the handing over notes, the infrastructure, he just started when government had to go through the debt crisis, and therefore there was no funding to complete many of them. Be assured that we'll complete all of them to support President Mahama's agenda to get more young people employable by way of those skills. Now, the problem with many of the TVET institutions was retooling and equipment. It's not just about building the infrastructure. If you said carpenters, have you provided for their training? If you said masons, have you provided for their training? So we'll look into it and ensure that at least every region has a model of the TVET institution that is dedicated to them, because we also must deal with a problem that you don't get 300, 400,000 SSS students who don't know their fate beyond completion of senior high school. Then you'll be producing a cohort of unemployment graduates for that category of young people. So we would invest in TVET. Technical and vocational education is important, and requisite financing will be provided for them. But as I said, I look forward to decapping GET Fund and dedicating many of it to get robust infrastructure done.
Chair, if the nominee will be pleased, I would want to draw his attention to His Excellency the President. On his campaign trail, I believe he identified some challenges in the school feeding program. And at one point, he did indicate that instead of government having to procure for the schools, he will rather come up with the policy to let the head teachers themselves procure the items, the food items directly. In other words, he will transfer the funds to the schools so that the schools themselves would procure the food items for the students. May I know from you, Honorable Nominee, if indeed, beyond the campaign rhetoric, this is also part of the policies that you are going to introduce as a way of ensuring, in your own way, efficiency in the free SHS system in terms of the aspect that deals with school feeding?
First of all, to note that in our manifesto, the words that were used was to implement no academic fee policy for first-year students in all public tertiary institutions, including universities, colleges of education, and nursing training colleges, for the record, leader. So this is our pledge.
I know why I was pushing you. I'm happy,
I appreciate it.
I know why I was pushing you, because your manifesto is here. So I wanted to be sure. And so I'm happy you've gone back to clarify, to give assurance.
Thank you.
Yes, I must. If opposition leader cannot have access to your manifesto, then what is my use? I must have it.
Thank you, leader. And chair, school feeding.
I mean, school feeding in this context is referring to the senior high school, not the basic school feeding.
Yes, school feeding for senior high school was largely done in a centralized form by the previous government, taking advantage of two institutions, the Buffer Stock Company and the Ghana Commodity Exchange. And it allowed for central pitches in some quantities of these food items. Headmasters already played some role when it came to perishable items, uniforms, and others. We have to phase out implementation because we cannot afford any food shortages as the schools run. 3rd January, we have to provide for stability of their calendar and make sure that there's adequate food and the quality of the food. But certainly the GES and headmasters will have a role. It's more, Chair, a cash flow problem, and how early the Ministry of Finance releases those funds. If we are not careful, there will come a time that you would have done purchases and major suppliers will say that they won't do it because they've not been guaranteed or assured. So we have to deal with the cash flow problem, which is a matter which can be resolved between the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Education. But for us, is to assure that we stop any potential disruption of the school calendar arising out of the lack of or delay in getting these food items to the school. We will work with those institutions, but define a role for the headmasters in a phased-out process. Thank you.
Senior, please, employment. My constituency produces the highest number of diploma and B.Ed graduates. Bachelor in Education. As you may know, UEW was established as a specialized tertiary facility to train teachers and feed that market. On daily basis, they come to me. This morning, I received a message. Which message is to ask you what plans you have to get as many of them who have graduated and are still unemployed into getting the employment with GS.
GS, it will be a function of availability of funds and a matter of vacancies arising, the location of those vacancies, who is willing to go, and then the Minister of Finance granting clearance to the Minister for Education to recruit such number of teachers as may be desirable for the running of our educational system. As and when we get the clearance, we would honor those numbers. Thank you.
Senior, again, may I know from you about this licensure examination policy of the MPP? Are you going to maintain it? Chairman, the friends of this committee from the majority side must know how we operate. They should stop it. Will you maintain it or you will abolish it?
We will have a systematic review of it to abolish it. We are going to review the curricula of the colleges of education and the faculty of education of the universities. They will incorporate it as part of the exam that students will write, and when they pass it, they are on. Thank you.
Now, let's come to this very nagging national issue, the LGBT issue. Now, His Excellency President Mahama, recently in his engagement with the religious bodies, specifically the Catholic bishops, indicated that the law that stops, prevents, alienates, and prevents this issue of sexual rights, same-sex relationship, does not necessarily need to be enacted, and that perhaps the country can explore the possibility of introducing our value system into the curriculum so that the children can, at that elementary stage, have certain understanding of the Ghanaian value system. May I ask you, Honorable Leader, your own views about the option to introduce a value system to systematically give a certain direction to our children instead of enacting a law?
Leader and Chair, I do not want to reduce this matter to a religious debate. It's a cultural wrong. With my religion as a Muslim, you know where I stand on this matter. It is repugnant to my Muslim values and ethics. I do not want to believe that many a Ghanaian parent would want their children trained in a way which is not consistent with the way me and you were brought up as Ghanaians, either from Efutu or from Wayamba in Tamale. And therefore, I would want to end it here, stating that we are a country and we define our values, both social and cultural. We should expect all other persons to respect those values. Thank you.
Chairman, I think I would put the question this way. You see, and I agree with Mr. President when he states that the curriculum, our teaching materials in our schools do not sufficiently inculcate our value systems in our children. I agree with him based on what the current status of our curriculum. I want to know from you that said, would you embrace any policy from His Excellency the President, which policy will proactively seek to opt for a value system based approach to sexual rights rather than the law?
Thank you very much. I would engage the President on the matter. The President does know my position on this subject, and it remains unchanged. But I do not think that any Ghanaian parent wants teachers to take their child to school and teach them that a man can relate to a man and a woman can relate to a man, but within the context of rights guaranteed. We are a country. We have our own values. We have a duty to preserve those values within the ambit of the Constitution. And leader, Kwamna, it is not for nothing that in the Constitution, you always get words like subject to public morality. Whose morality? Ghana's defined morality. Thank you.
So, therefore, is it your suggestion to the country that you will embrace a very proactive value system rather than going... Let me finish. Yes, that's the point. The reference point is a Ghanaian value system, none other. So my point is that would you assure the Ghanaian public that you, on the basis of Mr. President's vision on this matter, Mr. President's position on this matter, will opt for a Ghanaian value system to be introduced right from the KG, primary, all the way up, rather than a strict law in this matter?
Thank you very much. It's noted. Growing up, even with you, if you went to school, you know where young ladies could go and you know where boys could go. That is Ghanaian value system. We'll preserve that. Thank you.
Very well. You being a senior at the bar, you're able to run away from very serious cross-examination, and you couldn't have done less. That's okay. We'll let the jury determine this matter. We'll go for a broader debate on this matter. Senior, your colleagues in Parliament have this to say about you, quote, you are visionary, strategic, collaborative, a team player, and that you have a foresight, and you also demonstrate pragmatic approach in solving problems. Your colleagues know you as such. What is there for you to share with the Ghanaian youth who wants to know who Haruna Iddrisu is?
To the Ghanaian youth, I come from a very, very humble beginning. I just buried my late mother, my uncle, who told me that I should hasten cautiously and that I should not be in competition with any person. I should have faith in myself. I should be strong to defend my convictions as to things that I think that are right, and that I should always believe that if I do right, posterity will vindicate me with time. So for young people, it's important that we all grow with integrity and discipline, and we shouldn't be too competitive. Today is Honorable Afenyo Markins, majority leader yesterday, minority leader today. That's a lesson.
Dedi kama mamena PENDREAM TV ase. Na so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Ah nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.